Welcome everybody to the today webinar. My name is Gian Giacomo Armacora and I wish to spend a few words about Omninex Europe Ltd. So Omninex is an European company that was born more than 10 years ago and which counts around 50 experts on different verticals. Omninex has 6 principal pillars as the asset performance management, the facility and real estate, IT service continuity, emergency response, systems engineering, and finally, last but not least, we have also a dedicated business unit that is called the Software Lab, which creates products and solutions for our customers. So today, I'm very happy to introduce our speaker for the today webinar, Mr. Bruno Portaluri. Bruno has an impressive experience of more than 20 years on big companies as IBM, and in particular with IBM Maximo. He's also an excellent technical blogger, and I suggest you to take a look at the website that is shared right now on the slides. So let's proceed on today's topic. Bruno, the mic is yours.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining this webinar. So today I will announce the new MxLoader 8.1 version, which includes some additional features that have been added to better support MAS 8 or cloud environments, and also additional features that may be useful for the MxLoader users. So this is not, I'm not going to explain how the MxLoader works. I think you are all familiar with the tool. So I will just describe what's new in this new version. So I will present some of the updates that are already released, were already released in the last months, and the new features that I'm going to publish with version 8.1 in the next few days. So let's go through. Then we may have a demo if we have time. And then at the end, we will have some time to have a question and answer session so we can share our thoughts, or I can answer to your doubts and feedback. So these are the updates that were released recently. So the next gen version of MxLoader was released last year and was the version 7.1. It's already including the support for the new JSON APIs, REST APIs that are available in Maximo. I've also released the detailed results dialog that we will see, and it also includes a registration feature, let's say, that it has been introduced basically to have a kind of community around the MxLoader, to build a distribution list to stay updated on the on what's new or important patches that will be released. So it's more to build that kind of users list. Then in version 7.2, at the very end of last year, I have also implemented the upload and download capabilities for files. This is useful to upload attachments to any object in Maximo, but also to be able to export configuration that are quite big, like definition of applications or automation scripts, because I'm heavily using MxLoader recently to synchronize configuration across development, test, and production environments instead of using the migration manager tool, which is embedded in Maximo. Then I've released in January some minor, let's say, improvements with a lot of bugs fixing, but I've used a lot MxLoader in the last month, so I found some more fixes and more improvements to be made. That's why I've collected them in this new version, and this is going to be released soon. So first of all, I believe this is a final version, consolidated and stable one, that will support the new JSON REST API. So the previous version had some minor problems with hierarchical object structures or things like that. So I rewritten the logic behind the REST APIs to be able to better work with complex object structures. Then the API authentication has been implemented. This is really important. So because it's becoming the standard way of authenticating, especially in cloud environments. Then it's more secure because now passwords are stored not inside the MxLoader file, inside the Excel file, but it's stored in another file on your PC. So when you are exchanging files across computers with your colleagues or teammates, you don't have to care about sharing your password with other people. This is a common problem, and I think it was a quite big security issue. So now you can just send your files and the password will not be stored there. There are also new features that we will see. So there is a wizard to create dynamically or in an interactive way the new templates to load and extract data. There is a batch execution feature if you need to synchronize a lot of or send or query a lot of data and sheets in sequence. And then there are two features that allows a kind of upgrade, because another problem was that every now and then I publish a new version, but there is no migration or upgrade procedure to keep your files updated with the latest releases of MxLoader. So from now on, I will publish the MxLoader updates and patches together with a kind of updater that allows you to upgrade all your files to the latest version. Let's go and see some. So I don't want to go into too much into the details of this, but there are some important fixes in this release. As I said, the complex JSON objects in the object structure, but also there were some problems about escaping the workflows when containing some characters, or there was a problem where when the MxLoader file was stored on OneDrive using the logger, the tracing, preview was not working, the null value was not correctly managed into the JSON structure, and so on. Okay, so let's take a look in details about what are the new features. I then will show you, if we have time, a demonstration how they works in the real life, but let's look now at the presentation. So there is a cell in the configuration sheet where you can actually select and choose if you want to use the old legacy object structure, protocol and communication to maximal, or if you want to use the new REST JSON APIs. So you can select, and if you use the old or new. There are some minor changes between the two. They are almost the same. I think the big difference here is the way you can query your data, and you specify the workloads when querying data. If you use the old one, the OS service, then you can use SQL syntax to tell MxLoader what data needs to be retrieved from Maximo. If you use REST, then you have to use OSLC standard to specify the object that needs to be returned. So the new REST JSON API is different from what was available in Maximo 7.6 before. So in Maximo 7.5, sorry, it has been released in 7.6, and it's a completely new implementation, and it's basically a simplification of the OSLC REST APIs. And this is going to be strategic integration tool or technology. So it's making MxLoader feature-proof also in cloud environments where this is really important. And object structure service may also be not allowed for security reason, because it's not so, the old OS service was not so secure because it's subject to SQL injections more than the REST APIs. There are also quite sensitive or important performances improvement between the old implementation and the new one. So in this chart, you have the red one is the so on the left we have the old object structure service execution time for querying 1,000 assets. So it took 20 seconds around using the object structure. Now it takes around 3 seconds. And also we can see there is a lot of much less data exchanged. The other bar here, it's instead of having 10 megabytes, it's now reduced by a lot to 1.6. So that is basically because REST service only exchange data that is included into the template. Not all the entire structure is exchanged between Maximo and MxLoader and then parsed, but just what you really need and what the attributes you have put in your template. So this is bringing a lot of improvements, especially when querying data. Obviously, when syncing or updating or inserting, there is still an improvement, but it's not so big as we can see here. The API key authentication was already present before in version 5.4 of MxLoader. It's a very old one. I've implemented a kind of native solution to be able to authenticate in environments or using SML or OAuth authentication. But it was based on a DLL, a native DLL. So this is complex to install, complex to configure. It's not, let's say, natively supported by Maximo. So we had some troubles in some customer to be able to use that authentication mechanism. So now in Maximo 7.609, IBM introduced the API key authentication. So it can be only used with REST APIs, so it's not working with the old object structure services, but it's I think it's a way to move forward, and it's going to be the standard way of getting authenticating to Maximo from MxLoader. It's also much more efficient for Maximo. Instead of having every session, every HTTP call to the server, a new authentication with username and password, it is sessionless, so it's also much more lighter in terms of resources used on the server side. So the way you can get your key to be put into MxLoader is that you have to ask an administrator if you don't have the rights to access the administration page on the Maximo Work Center and to generate an API key for your user. Okay, then this long token can be set after setting the authentication to API, then can be put into the password field, and then it will be passed to Maximo to authenticate. You will get a confirmation message. There is also another more simple way of getting your key. It's not always available depending on the configuration on the server side. I will show you later how it works. I think you already seen these in the latest version of MxLoader. So every time you do a query or a sync, you are getting or putting data into Maximo, you have now a better explanation of what has been done. So how many records were downloaded or uploaded, and if you have any error or if the result set you have retrieved from Maximo was truncated, then you have a yellow warning in these results dialog. So it's much more clear to the user what happens for that specific action. So this is the new toolbar or ribbon. There are two new icons here on the left. The first one, this MX Sheet Wizard, will open a wizard that allows you to dynamically build your own template, and also a create run bash that will create a sheet that will allow you to run many sheets in sequence with one click. And I can also show you how this works. Then we have the two icons on the right. The copy data, it's can help you migrating to version 8.1 your old MxLoader sheets. So it basically takes all the MxLoader sheets from another Excel file and copying them to the new MxLoader file. Can be used to migrate from old version. From version 8.1 in the future, I think the preferred approach would be to use the updater. So we will see, and you will see how it will work in the future. And then you know about the MxLoader, about dialog that allows you to enter registration information. Okay, so this is the wizard. So again, I will demonstrate, but basically you choose the object structure. All the available object structure on the server are defined in this list box. And after selecting the object structure, it will display all the attributes available for that object. And you can add and remove any attribute from the left to the right, and also sort the attributes with those two buttons here in order to have your correcting the order of the attributes in the sheet. Okay, then you click on OK button and it will create a new sheet, and you can query and update your data as always. So it's an alternative to the templates that are still available, but it's more flexible and you can create your own templates, let's say. Then we have the batch execution sheet. I think it will be more clear during the demonstration. Basically, it lists all the existing worksheets you have in your Excel file, with the action that it's already set, and you can change the action, and you can also skip some sheets, and then you can run all together at the same time. It's not a parallel execution; it's one after the other. So it's a sequencing invocation, let's say. And it will also display the results, how many objects have been returned, how many objects have been updated, or how many errors do you have in your source file, and also execution time, which is very useful when you have to load a lot of data. I think you're already familiar. Again, these will not enable any additional features. So all the features are available also if you do not register your MxLoader. But there is a pop-up remembering you to register. It will appear every now and then. So please go to my website, enter just the name and email, and you will receive a registration key. So you put that string, the key, into the about dialog, and you will that pop-up will not show up again. Okay, so the copy data again. So you basically, it will let you select an existing MxLoader file, and will copy all the sheets to your new file. So it's a safe way to migrate to the new version of MxLoader. Okay, if you don't have if you have other sheets that are not MxLoader sheets, they will not be migrated. It worked with any previous version of MxLoader. It has some problems. If the source file has references to external files or cross references between the sheets, it may, let's say, not correctly handle those cases. So it's a temporary way to allow you to move to the new version. But after that, it's better to use the updater, which is this one. I'm going to release this with the next fix bug, not with 8.1. So as soon as I have an update or fix to release, I will release the new MxLoader file and the MxLoader updater, so you can run this tool against your old file, and will create a copy of that file, upgraded to the latest version. Okay, so I think this is very good if you use a lot MxLoader and you want to stay updated with the latest fixes I'm going to release. Okay, so let's see something. And okay. Okay, so first of all, let's see the API authentication. So as we said, we have two, I'm going to zoom a little bit. Okay, so you can better see. So we have two options. OS will use the old protocol, let's say the old service. Selecting REST, you will use the new interface, new APIs. So test connection will always say that you have no authentication. So they use the Wilson user to test. This is the connection successful with the old protocol. And if we change to the REST API, we see the same. There is a different dialog actually, but it's still connection successful. And you can see that the password here disappeared. Okay, so you can safely share this file with your colleagues. You can send it to your client. password will be automatically deleted and stored in a separate file. So the other person, the other people you are going to send this file, if they try to authenticate, it will ask for the password, okay, on a different computer. So it will keep safe your passwords. Let's look at, now we can take a look at the API authentication. So if we do not have access to the administration page, but we are just users accounts, we can try to get an API token to authenticate by just selecting the authentication to API, setting the REST service, and typing the user and password. So it will use a specific service on server that tries to get the API key from the server. So if I now click on test connection, it tells me that the authentication is successful and the API authentication token will be stored into that secure file. Okay, when I click OK, you see the token here stored in the password. But as soon as I click OK, again it disappears and it's stored in that separate file. So again, there will be no user, no password, and I can still successfully authenticate with my own API token. I think that's a quite nice way of authenticating. So let's see now I think that the most interesting and powerful features that are now available, which are available through those two buttons here. So the MX Sheet Wizard will take some time to pop up because the MxLoader queries the server and retrieves all the object structures that are available on the server side and lists those object structures here. Okay, so for example, we want to build our own template for let's use a safe one, like for example for the assets. What API? I think I'm going to create a query, a kind of search features for that. So selecting the API asset object structure, it will list all the available attributes for that object structure. Is it working? You're getting the data. Okay. So these are all the attributes available in this object structure. And you can choose. So the primary key attributes have a number here, and the required fields are also marked with a yes on this column. Then you have the description. So we will probably want to add the site and asset, which is the primary key of that table. And we can just maybe put the description of, where is the description? Yeah, okay, there's one. And what about the expected life, maybe? Okay, so let's click OK. We can also sort those fields, selecting a field and moving up and down. Okay, so we can choose our preferred order, click OK, and we will have the template built for us. We just run that one, and data will be retrieved from the server. So we can maybe change the action to add change, then delete everything we don't need, and maybe set the expected life to something. Okay, and run. And it's working. So 4 records have been updated. And it is, I mean, easier than before to customize the existing template. So you can also, for example, if you use the old templates wizard, let's call it, or picker, you can create the your template. Okay, you can pop up the new template, but then you can also edit that one using the wizard. So if you now click on the wizard, then it asks you if you want to edit the current sheet or you want to create a new one. If we select yes, then automatically it will pick the MX person object structure, select the field that are already present in the template, so you can add your own fields to the template. Okay, so you can, for example, add the birth date, the country, click OK, and it will create a new sheet. Will not touch the old one. It will just, sorry, this one, it adds a new sheet, a copy of that one with the additional attributes that you have selected. So you can start from an existing template and change it as you prefer. What else? So then we can see, for example, let's create a new one. For example, about what can we choose? The locations. Okay, so let's leave it blank, and then we create a run batch sheet. So it creates a new sheet called run batch, and this one has all your existing sheets in this column with the action that is currently selected on that sheet. So you can change that one to any value, but you can also select the skip. For example, we want to skip this MX person that is now in a query, has a query action. So I can want to skip that one, and I can select skip in that column. And we can now run that batch, and it will run all the 4 sheets, but skipping that specific sheets. So let's see how what's happening. It's a confirmation dialog because it can take a while, and so you have to confirm. Okay, so the batch was executed successfully, and we can see the first one is app change, so it's an update, and we have 4 records synchronized with 0 errors. It was quite fast, so there is no duration here, but there is an execution date. People is a query. We had a truncated result set with 50 records. Took 1 second. Then the third one was skipped, so we don't have any detail here about execution time or number of records. And the last one that was truncated, so we also have 2 seconds here. So it happens sometimes you have to load a lot of data into that is present and is stored into 3, 4, 10 sheets, and you want to run it over the night, maybe leaving the computer and importing all the data. So this is quite useful. You know, I think already that when running a batch, Maximo will MxLoader automatically adds that results column. So if there is any error, for example, I can put a wrong site ID here and run again the batch. Okay. So we can see that we have 2 errors for that first sheet. So I can go there and I can see what were the problems in my data. So I can select those problems, those data loading problems, and fix the errors and run only that subset of records that I want to update. This is, I think, really useful. So I think that's all. I think we can move to the question and answer. So we can start the discussion. You can ask your questions. Okay, so let me take a look. So I can see, so first question is, if we can lock the file to require users in our organization to only use REST APIs, I don't think it's possible. What you can do if you really want to avoid any user to use the old protocol, it's better to block that at server level. So you can configure your web server, your Maximo server to just disable the object structure service. So what you can do is so here, those drop down that you can see here can be changed here. It's just data validation. So you can click on the data, selecting that cell, and click on data validation, and you can change that one. I think you can do it. Yes. So you will only see the rest value here, but still, if the user is smart enough and they type OS, and then they can change the data validation by themselves and still type OS into that field. Okay, so if you really want to block the object structure, you can do it at server level. So second question, I think I can share those questions here. Okay, so we can better all look. Validation progress is important before. Physical validation report. I don't think this is possible because when we do when we run a sync against the service. So in this case, for example, we were updating the assets. So there is no preview mode in the REST service, as far as I know. So you can get the error only when you try to do that update, that sync action. So you are actually doing and changing the data. There is no preview mode, so there is no way MxLoader can perform a preliminary validation of the data. So if you want, you can implement your own rules into Excel, improving your data collection templates if you have that, adding validation into Excel and performing validation before sending the data to Maximo. But there is no way MxLoader can perform a validation against Maximo without really setting and updating the data. Okay. So another good question is this one. Share where the password file is stored on the machine. So the password file is not encrypted and is stored in the user folder. So if you go to your personal user folder, I believe it's in the app data. I don't know. It's stored somewhere here, so it's local to your. And I think by default this folder is hidden to the users. You can show the hidden files, and so. But I think this is information it's better not to share, because as I told you, it's not encrypted, but it's still stored into your computer, so it's even better than before that it was in the into the Excel file. So let me see. Okay, so somebody is confirming the API key is working. I don't get this question for the primary. Does the wizard work also with complex objects? I think those two questions are related, so I can share this one. This is a question. The answer is yes. So let me show you. Okay. The API, why not? I think this can be good example. Okay. So there are a lot of fields into the asset table, but you will see at some point you will have the asset meter, and if there is any other child asset spec, doc links, and whatever is included into the asset record. So let's say we want to also manage the meters on the assets. You can also add those fields. So the asset num, you don't have to include it. Site ID, it's already from the parent object. So active, and then what, maybe the meter name should be there. Measure unit. Let's put some one num. Okay. And then we can run. So unfortunately, we don't have any meter defined on those assets. But yes, it works. Those additional attributes on the child records have been added and can be used to get or set meters and all child records. So okay, thank you for the new custom sheet templates. Does the wizards? I think it's a good question, quite technical. So does the wizard get all the object structure attributes, also the one eventually excluded from the object? I think now it extracts all, it lists all the attributes, also the one that are excluded. I think this is a good suggestion for improvements, because it's better to get only what really can be retrieved or updated. So if an attribute is excluded, it shouldn't appear in the wizard. Okay, so good point. Yeah, well, I will check. Could you show us an example of a REST syntax? So as I told you, there is a quite big difference in the way we perform queries. So let's take this example. Delete. Okay. So let's switch back to the, okay, change that one. Data, sorry. Switch back to the OS. Okay. I'm trying to use the API with the object structure service, so I get an error. I need to switch back to the native authentication username. Okay, you're right, Wilson. I don't think I have to type, yes, the password, because it was already stored in that file. So I can now, and I think you are a lot familiar with that one, try to type, let's say, for example, site ID equal to fleet. Okay, let's zoom a little bit, and then I can run that sheet. Okay, it's still truncated, but as you can see now, I only have the assets belonging to the fleet site. If I now switch to the REST service, I will probably get an error and try to run again that. Yeah, I get an error. Okay, so I try to do my best. So if you look at the codes, it tells you that you are using REST service, and it also show you a link. It's not really well formatted, but it's still there. So if you can open that link to that one. Oh, it's not a good link. Okay, I will change it. But anyway, what I think that the correct link should be this one. So I have, yeah, okay. I've published recently a post on my blog with the new syntax. So for example, you see we have to select, then we must use, for example, here the example is for locations, but the OSLC syntax is using double quotes instead of single quotes. So the correct syntax here, it's we have to replace that single quotes to the double quotes. And I believe this will work now. Okay. So I will update that link into that error dialog, pointing to that one, but there is also official IBM documentation about this. So maybe I will put another reference to the official documentation also in the same blog post. Okay. I think somebody sent me the correct link. Let me check in the chat. Okay, so this is going to be, thank you, Vivek. Yeah, this is the official REST API. So it's also the where clause and is probably better explaining how to, no, this is for saved queries. Anyhow, this is complete reference documentation from IBM. Okay, so time zone, it's a good point. Let me copy that one to, I think I have tested it. I haven't tested time zone. I think this is something I need to work on to be improved because I know some countries have half an hour kind of time zone like this one. So okay, is it possible with the wizard? Let me show you. Thanks. This one to add description of the field. on next line. Okay, so what we have, what I've seen, actually, the wizard was an idea that I shared with people from other company. I don't remember the name. Sorry, but they show me that when the wizard is showing the description of the fields, but we also have additional information like the size, for example, of each attribute, especially if there are strings. So type and size of those attributes are available and can be displayed as well in this dialog. And when you select one of those attributes, then you click OK. What I've seen is that we can add a note on that field with details about the description, the short title, the full description, and also the field's exact length and size and type in the header. And I think this is another improvement to be made. So thank you for the feedback. Okay, this is really interesting. So this question here. If we can have a pool of connection, I think now that you don't have to set the passwords, or if you're using the API, we don't have to set the, you can set the API token once for that specific server. So the credentials that are stored are related to the server, okay? So if you just have two servers, you can just switch from one to the other. So you can just, for example, have the two links here. Let's say the first one, it's a development or test. The second one is a production. You just copy and paste those values into that cell, and it will work because the API or username and password or API token will be stored differently for each server, okay, for each address. So it will get the authentication specific for that server, but just need to copy that one out. So I cannot show you, but I'm sure it works. Okay. Is it possible to connect with IBM Cloud Service? So this is the question. Oh, I haven't tested, but again, the API authentication is the standard way of connecting. So yes, you can try with the old one, the native or LDAP. I don't know what kind of protocol cloud services are using in the background, but for sure you will be able to get an API token using that trick or asking, because this is a standard way of authentication, especially in cloud environments. So the API here is being specifically built to support those kind of scenarios. And it should work with IBM Cloud. Okay, this is not strictly related to, oh, we are closing. So let's ask those two questions quickly. There are more questions, and I will try to answer all these questions on my blog in the next few days. So the last two is split child rows. So this is a setting that it's split child rows. So when you have parent child, so parent object with child records, you have for the same object you have many rows. So each object will be sent. So one object will be sent together with the child rows in one transaction. If you want to split all those child rows into separate transactions, so if, for example, you may get a separate error code, it's not easy to make an example quickly, but then you can try to use a child row. So it's working. For example, we had the meters. The example was there were no meters, but if you had an asset with 3 meters, you will get the same asset with 3 rows here. But if any of the child record fails, then all the 3 meters will be discarded. So by splitting the child rows, it will try to send 3 updates. So if one fails, the other 2 will be still okay. The last one, sorry, the answer is no, because the MxLoader is written into Visual Basic 4 application language. This is not available on macOS. So there is no way we can I can support. To be able to support Mac, I should rewrite completely MxLoader on Mac. There is a kind of another scripting language, but it's totally different. It would be really hard to be ported, let's say, implemented on macOS. So unfortunately, I'm not planning to do this. I don't have time to do. So sorry, the answer is no. So thank you all for attending. And I think we have finished our time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bruno, for your very interesting webinar. Thank you, everybody, to have joined the session today. Everybody of you, including the people that unfortunately weren't able to join, will receive the link with the registration of the current webinar that will be available on the YouTube channel that is owned by OmniNext. So thank you, everybody, again. Thank you, Bruno. It was very great session. And bye to everybody.
Bye-bye.